Welcome to UK Rail Journeys, Series 2. In this series I follow the original route of the Thames Clyde Express from London to Glasgow, and then visit Wemyss Bay and Mallaig before returning to London on the Caledonian Sleeper. Episode 4, where we reach Leicester, traditionally the first stop on the route of the Thames Clyde Express. As we turned right away from Watling Street, a tarmac, asphalt and concrete plant and a cluster of modern industrial buildings was on our left before we passed over the M25 and into the countryside. The remains of Radlett Aerodrome and the old Handley Page Aircraft Works are next to the railway. Part of the aerodrome is under the M25, and the rest is owned by Eon Productions. Handley Page, founded in 1909, were Britain's first aircraft manufacturers, and moved to Radlett in 1930. On the 25th of March 1937, the pilot of a Handley Page Harrow bomber misjudged his approach to the runway, and the aircraft's undercarriage struck the roof of the kitchen car on the 10:25 St Pancras to Manchester Express. Part of the kitchen car's roof was ripped off, but no one on the train was injured. However, 2 of the aircraft's crew suffered serious injury. Following examination at St Albans, the train continued to Leicester, where a replacement kitchen car was attached. It left Leicester only 1 hour late. Through the historic cathedral city of St Albans and then Harpenden before passing Luton Airport, styled these days as London Luton Airport, and then Luton Airport Parkway Station with the sprawling IBC Vehicles commercial vehicle factory on the right. The company has, since 2021, been wholly owned by Stellantis. It's an assembly plant producing light commercial vehicles for Citroën, Opel, Peugeot and Vauxhall. There's been a vehicle factory there since 1905. On our approach to Bedford, I've just seen the dual chimneys of the Rookery South Energy Recovery Facility on our left. There are huge gashes in the landscape caused by the extraction of clay for brickmaking. Many have been filled in, others have been repurposed as wildlife-friendly lakes. Until recently, 162 chimneys dotted the low-lying land of Marston Vale. Nearest the line, the Stuartby Brickworks, part of the London Brick Company, had 32 of the chimneys. By 1936, it was the world's largest brickworks, making 500 million bricks a year and employing 2,000 people. The last of 4 230-foot-high chimneys, some of which were leaning by around 9 feet, were demolished in 2021. 1,000 homes and a business park are being built on the site. We've just passed the East Midlands Railway Depot on our right, and then on our left the Eagle Brewery, before going through Bedford Midland Station, used by over 3 million passengers in 2022-23. We're making good time, and at Bedford we're about a minute and a half ahead of schedule. We crossed the Grey Twos 7 times in the Bedford area. Just after our second crossing, we met the A6 and the stretch of road known as the Paula Radcliffe Way, in honour of the British Olympian who was brought up in the area. We're now travelling through true Middle England countryside. Small towns, lots of fields, lakes, and the railway line cutting its path, heading northwards. On a hill on my left, a church, its steeple standing tall. Splendid blossom on the may trees at this time of year, all over the railway embankments. Out there on this sunny day, there's probably just the heady scent that they give. As we're travelling along, you can see lots of old railway buildings. A lovely Victorian goodshed along the side of the track. As you can hear, the train has slowed down considerably. It means that the countryside isn't passing as a blur, but one is able to fully drink in the beauty of spring. We cross the River Nene and enter Northamptonshire, passing through the Grade 2 listed Wellingborough Midland Road Station, 65 miles north of St Pancras. There's the Little R Ale House, a tiny micro-pub on the northbound platform. It's situated in the old ammo room, which once housed the detonators used to warn of danger on the railways. The detonators explode when a train runs over them, alerting the driver to the danger. The station was used by 739,000 passengers in 2022-23. We're gaining speed again, having passed through Wellingborough Station. Now we're passing through lots of fields, and on my right I can see a wind farm with the sails of the wind generators slowly turning.
Kettering's our next station call. Please mind the gap between the train and platform edge when alighting. Onwards from Kettering will be Market Harbour.
Thames Clyde would have run through Kettering Station at speed. Passengers would probably have missed the beautiful canopies over the platform. We stopped for a minute or so. Some got off, some got on. And just north of the station is the junction for the Corby line. This line starts to the north of Leicester and loops round and then rejoins the Midland Main Line at the junction here, past another field of yellow. If I remember correctly, that's oilseed rape. Since the line to Corby branched off to our right, we've gone down from 4 tracks to 2. Past another wind farm. Most of the sails would appear to be stopped, but some turning slowly. On our left, a small estate of modern houses built right up close to the railway line. And then, more fields. More yellow. Past an old goods siding. Tracks have now been removed, being used as a storage depot and works area. And then on to fields of sheep. Train slowing now. I think we're coming into Market Harbour. The Thames Clyde wouldn't have slowed here. It would have passed through the Grade 2 listed station at Market Harbour at speed. But we're going to stop. On our way into Market Harbour, a large estate being built on my right. When we reach the station, we'll be 16 miles south of Leicester.
Market Harbour is our next station call. Onwards from Market Harbour will be Leicester.
Market Harbour Station opened in September 1884 as a joint station for both the Midland and London and North Western Railways. Until 1908, each company had a station master based here. The platform buildings and canopies were replaced with modern designs in the 1960s, whilst the main building survived. It was restored in 1981. The station was used by 763,000 passengers in 2022. It's a great pity that the platform buildings and canopies were replaced, because they're standard, out-of-the-box station fittings. A very helpful member of the station staff giving a passenger some assistance to get on board. Locally, there is the Harbour Museum. It's housed in an old corset factory, and it's said it's worth visiting. The town used to be the home for the headquarter offices of Golden Wonder Crisps. They went into administration in 2006 and was subsequently bought by Tato, who are based in Northern Ireland. Now passing a cricket pitch, ringed by horse chestnut trees, the blossoming candles in full magnificence. Onward again, past yet more may trees in blossom. The green fields we're now passing through will soon turn into the urban sprawl of Leicester. We pass along one side of the Y junction at South Wigston. In the distance, the floodlights of Grace Road, home to Leicestershire County Cricket Club. Then a few minutes later, the white stands of Leicester City Football Club. And then we pass by the Leicester Tigers Rugby Union Club grounds. It's time for me to collect my bags as I'm leaving the train at Leicester. Traditionally, this was the first stop on the route of the Thames Clyde Express. The railway reached Leicester in 1840, and the next year Thomas Cook, whose statue has him leaning on a pile of cases, pocket watch in hand, organised an excursion train to Loughborough, carrying around 500 Temperance Society members. Facing bankruptcy after the Second World War, Thomas Cook was nationalised and remained part of British Railways until 1972, when it went back into private ownership. In 2019, after 178 years, Thomas Cook finally collapsed. Today, the Thomas Cook Continental Timetable, first published in 1873, still survives as the European Rail Timetable. It lists around 50,000 trains and is compiled by a 6-strong team, each of whom specialise in a different geographical area. Much of London Road Station in Leicester has been rebuilt since the days of the Thames Clyde Express. The Baroque facade was saved, and the domed clock tower, described by Simon Jenkins as being faintly Indian, is also still there. Apparently the clock is the only hand-wound clock on the railway network. Simon Jenkins awards the station 3 stars in his book Britain's 100 Best Railway Stations. The arch facade leads to a porte cochere behind. There are 2 arches with the word arrival in gold mosaic, and 2 more modestly inscribed for departures. I'm stood outside Leicester Station in London Road. It does have a lovely beauty and symmetry to its frontage. Of course, the frontage, or the facade, is the facade before you go into the porte cochere. The glazed porte cochere is half used as the taxi rank and half for passengers to walk around in. Sadly, there's netting obscuring the roof, because of course the authorities wish to prevent pigeons sitting on the girders and dropping their excrement onto the passengers below. Crossing the road here isn't the easiest thing to do, as there seem to be an awful lot of people on electric bicycles and scooters whizzing around without a care for pedestrians. But then I suppose that's the modern world. In the embellishments around the two arches for departure, I note one says in and one says out. Leicester has hosted the body of Richard III since 1485. The last English king to die in battle, he rested in the Greyfriars area, most recently a car park used by Leicester Social Services Department, until he was reinterred in Leicester Cathedral. I'm spending an hour at Leicester Station before the next section of my journey to Nottingham. I realise that Nottingham is not on the original Thames Clyde route, but I need to go there so that I can travel on the Erywash Valley line to Sheffield. So after the rather splendid outside of the station, the actual platform area is extremely disappointing. It looks as though it was gutted and rebuilt in the 1960s or 70s, with that complete disregard to anything of architectural merit. However, it's clean, it's safe, it's not falling apart, so we can't complain about everything. Leicester Station brings back memories. A few years ago, when I was working for a steam charter company, I had to greet the passengers who were joining the train at Leicester. So I had to be on the first train out of St Pancras that morning, which meant that I was up at 4:15 in the morning. Went over the Settle Carlisle line, and then coming back, we broke down just south of Chesterfield. We were there for about an hour and a half. Fortunately, there were 3 locomotives on the front of the train, and so we left the one that had failed in a siding and proceeded with one of the others. We got to Leicester at 10 past midnight, to be told that the line south of Leicester was shut for engineering works. So we had to run the locomotive round from one end of the train to the other, head north again to the route to Corby, go through Corby, and then rejoin the line where I said that the line to Corby left us, and run on to Radlett. I walked into the house where I was staying in central London at 4:15 in the morning. It had been 24 hours since I had got up the day before. Quite an adventure. And that was the last time I stood here on the platform at Leicester. Quite a few people getting on the Stansted Airport service. Takes 2 hours from Leicester. The route is run by cross country, and this certainly does go across country. It calls at Melton Mowbray, Oakham, Stamford, Peterborough, March, Ely, Cambridge and Stansted Airport.
The man with the microphone takes this opportunity to thank the passengers and crew on my East Midlands Railway trains between London and Sheffield for their assistance in making this podcast on Thursday the 9th of May 2024. This podcast is produced and published by the Mr. T Podcast Studio. Thank you very much for listening. And please join me again in a couple of weeks for the next instalment.